We see Brick knocked out in the ring, blood all over his face. The fight between him and Suho lasted less than a minute and a half, and the commentator confirms that the winner is Suho Kang. The crowd is chanting Suho's name. In the changing room, the white-haired dude congratulates Suho and asks him about his thoughts on Yeongha. Suho says he's just a rookie who never trained before, but the white-haired guy thinks of using him as a player. The white-haired guy praises Suho's work and turns to leave, but Suho says that Yunga might have a shot with some training. The white-haired guy smirks and says Suho has never said that about anyone before. Back at Hanlim gym, the girl tells Yunga that she only brought him here because she thought he might freeze to death. Yunga thinks to himself that if this is Hanlim gym, then Suho comes here too, but he doesn't have a chance against him anyway. He decides to let it slide, thanks the girl, and leaves. The girl tells him to stop being a jerk, or he'll get his ass handed to him. Yeongha glances at her in rage, punches the sandbag, sending it flying, and leaves. The next day, we see Yeongha in school, thinking about revenge all day. He tries to convince himself that he needs to move on and just keep living his life, but he still feels awful. On the roof, we see Yeongha smoking, and suddenly Charles approaches him, asking if the bitter taste of defeat is getting to him and tells him to leave it all behind because he got him a match ready. Yeongha refuses. Charles asks if Yeongha is scared because of all the match power gathering in one place. He asks if Yeongha wants to continue playing house with the weaklings and tells him that he was born a tiger and a tiger can never play with puppies. He gives Yeongha a card and tells him to call if he changes his mind and asks if Yeongha wants what Suho has the title of the strongest and leaves. In a moment of mixed feelings, Yeongha finally knows what he wants. In a forest, we see a bunch of people gathering around a ring, and the commentator introduces the fighters of the night. The first one is Goliath, a judo fighter, against our MC. The match begins. Goliath starts talking trash, but before he can even finish, Yeongha hits him with an uppercut, knocking him to the ground. Yeongha throws a powerful punch, but Goliath swiftly dodges. Without missing a beat, Goliath retaliates with a punch of his own, aimed directly at Yeongha. Yeongha blocks it just in time and attempts a comeback. The two fighters lock into a fierce exchange of blows, fists flying back and forth in quick succession, neither giving an inch. Suddenly, Goliath grabs Yeongha by the neck with a vice-like grip. With a roar, he slams Yeongha into the ground with a bone-shaking thud. The impact reverberates through the arena. Before Yeongha can react, Goliath grabs him by the wrist and slams him into the ground again, this time harder. The echo of the hit resounds throughout the moment. Goliath, unrelenting, grips Yeongha by the face and begins pummeling him, each punch harder than the last. Blood splatters from the force of the strikes, and it seems as though Yeongha is losing the fight. The audience watches in stunned silence. Goliath is a fighter through and through, born and bred for combat. It's in his DNA. Fighting guys like him is no easy task. Doubt creeps into the crowd as they begin to lose faith in Yeongha. The gap in sheer raw power between the two seems insurmountable. Flashback. An hour earlier, Charles greets Yeongha as he enters the underground world of PvP. Welcome to PvP. Once you're in, it's hard to get out, Charles says ominously, then goes on to explain the rules. PvP is different from other sports. There's no weight class, no penalties. And it's all secret. You can't tell anyone, Charles continues. The system measures your strength by battle points, or BP. Players with similar BP are matched. Win and you gain BP, lose and you drop. And every 100 BP is worth $1 million. The stakes are high, and the matches happen only between students. Retirement comes when you become an adult. Yeongha, processing everything, asks, "How strong is Suho?" Charles' expression shifts. There are 152 talented students in PvP. Suho is at the top of the pyramid, but don't worry about him. Focus on what's in front of you. Win and you'll be a step closer to him. Back in the present, Yeongha lies on the ground, motionless. It looks like he's given up. The referee begins to announce the results, and Goliath is winning by a landslide in the betting polls. The crowd holds its breath. But then shock ripples through the audience. Yunga is standing. He wipes the blood from his face, determination burning in his eyes. Compared to Suho's punches, this is nothing, he mutters under his breath. He looks up at Goliath. Is that all you've got? Goliath, enraged, charges at Yunga, determined to finish him off. Stop bluffing, he yells as he lunges forward, reaching out to grab Yunga. But Yunga's fist rises in the air, his movements calm and deliberate. In one swift motion, he smashes Goliath's hand, the sound of cracking bones piercing through the air. Goliath screams in agony, clutching his broken fingers. Yeongha doesn't hesitate. He follows up with a brutal punch to Goliath's chest, then an uppercut, then a relentless series of punches. Goliath, stunned, can't react. He hits the ground, defeated. But Yeongha isn't done. In a fury, he grabs Goliath by the back of his head and starts kicking him in the face, over and over, blood flying everywhere. The crowd watches in shock as Yeongha, lost in his rage, shows no sign of stopping. The guards rush in, pulling Yeongha off Goliath before he can kill him. The referee steps in and calls the match. Yeongha is the unexpected winner. Charles approaches, a satisfied smile on his face. Congratulations, Yeongha. Yeongha turns to Charles. How much is my BP? Asks, his tone serious. Charles replies with a slight smile. The panel has decided your BP is 100. Yeongha's expression sours. He doesn't seem pleased with the score. Charles, noticing his mood, hands him a couple of extra bucks and shares. Here for winning. It's a little extra this time because the betting scale was so overwhelming in your favor. Yeongha takes the money, but his expression remains unchanged. The next day, we see Jitae and Doyeon waiting in an alley, glancing around. Jitae looks puzzled. Why does Yeongha want to meet here? He asks, his voice laced with curiosity. Doyeon shrugs. Yeongha's been in a bad mood ever since we got beaten up. He probably just wants to clear his head, but he always takes care of us when it counts. At that moment, Doyeon glances up and spots Yeongha approaching. There he is. Yeongha walks toward them, his face covered in bandages from the previous night's fight. Jitae raises an eyebrow and asks, what happened to your face? Yeongha brushes it off. Don't worry about it. Jitae, eager to change the subject, grins. I've got everything ready for the drinks. I even invited a couple of cute girls. He leans in and asks, do you know a good place? Yeongha, still brooding, gestures for them to follow. Yeah, come on. Elsewhere, we see a girl from Hanlim gym walking through the streets. She suddenly stops and turns around, addressing someone behind her. Stop following me. A high school boy steps out wearing a Kim Kang high school uniform. His name is Hyung-gyun Lee. He looks desperate as he says, I just want to learn how to fight. I've been getting bullied at school. The girl sighs, unimpressed. I have nothing to do with that. I don't teach people how to fight. The gym is for working out, not for starting fights. Hyung-gyun snaps, his frustration boiling over. You don't understand. I need to learn how to fight. Do you even know what it feels like to be bullied? The girl remains calm, shaking her head. No, I don't. So stop bothering me. As she turns to leave, she notices a group walking by. It's Yeongha and his friends. Her face twists in disgust as she sees them enter a bar. A bar. He really is a thug, she mutters to herself. Inside the bar, the group is seated at a table overflowing with delicious food. One of the girls glances at Yeongha nervously. Is it really okay to order all this food? Yeongha waves off her concerns. Don't worry about it. I'll pay. A few minutes later, the group is deep into their drinks. Doyeon is already wasted, laughing loudly as the others continue having fun. Jitae starts flirting with one of the cute girls, his confidence rising with each drink. The girl next to him playfully stops him. I already have a couple of guys besides you, so don't get any ideas. Suddenly, her phone rings. Her friend leans over, curious. Who's calling? She glances at the screen and frowns. It's Chan, I'm worried. Jitae notices her concern and asks, what's up? The other girl chimes in. We used to hang out with this guy, Chan, but he's been following our friend Scene around lately. He's got a crush on her and started acting like her boyfriend. We tried to cut him off, but now he's stalking her. Just then, the bar door flies open with a bang. Chan storms in, his eyes locked on Seon. And I was worried about you, he growls, his tone dark. You bitch. Jitae, stepping up, tries to intervene. Hey, stop right there. But before he can finish, Chan throws a punch. Jitae is knocked out cold, collapsing to the floor. Chan, furious, sits at the table, raising his hand to strike the girl next to him. But before he can land a blow, Yeongha grabs his wrist, stopping him in his tracks. The two lock eyes, tension crackling in the air. At that moment, both of their phones buzz. A message flashes across the screen, PvP. It seems fate has decided that Chan and Yeongha will face each other in the next round. Why wait a week? Let's fight now. The two exchange a flurry of blows, the fight breaking out in the middle of the bar.